What a freaking waste of time. I just finished watching the opening night's live stream. This was basically the first 2 hours of Gamescom. This is the fancy presentation that Jeff Keighley does that's supposed to kick off this epic event of game reveals. The problem is, opening night live this year was 2 hours of CG trailers, NFT games, commercials for Red Bull, a Pokemon car. Everything about this entire thing was just CG trailers, no gameplay, no actual release dates for most of these projects. It is bonkers why they even bothered to do this. I mean, it sucked. Most of the games they showed today didn't even just display what they're actually going to be about. Like 95% of this are just cryptic CGI trailers or weird concept art. Like, it doesn't even make sense. But I want to go through the 25 things they revealed today, because most of this is pure gobbledygook, and 5% of it, though, honestly was very impressive. I do want to talk about Callisto Protocol. There's a new trailer for Sonic Frontiers that looked actually kind of amazing, and our first real look at Dead Island 2, which I have to say did honestly impress me. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. But now let's start things off with what began this entire press conference today, which was called Everywhere. This was a mysterious project that's sort of been talked about in the industry as something that's supposed to be the next big immersive world. Think of it as an MMORPG with a sci-fi setting and lots of interactivity. But the problem was that not only was it just this short CG trailer, but once they started to actually talk about the game, we realized it's just going to be an NFT game. It seems like this game is just going to be a vehicle for thousands of dollars of microtransactions. In fact, part of what kind of irked me about this entire freaking thing is that as much as I enjoyed some of the trailers we saw, there was so much freaking downloadable content. This always drives me nuts, but the fact that we saw Dying Light 2 DLC, Age of Empires DLC, the next big patch for Destiny 2, another update for Genshin Impact, just DLC after DLC after DLC, and I know it's just my own personal taste, but I always get so bored when they just talk about downloadable content instead of new games or new stuff that's going to really shake up the industry. But next up, they revealed a Dune game. This has been rumored for a bit, but it's called Dune Awakening. Apparently, it's going to be an open world survival MMO. They showed absolutely nothing other than this guy right here jumping onto a giant sandworm. Okay, I don't know what the heck that's going to be. Nobody knows what it's going to be because it's just a CG trailer, but hopefully whenever that comes out, the idea of a Dune MMO is intriguing. That world certainly has a lot of lore that they could exploit for great gameplay, but I wish we actually saw the gameplay. Now, next up is something I actually have to show you an article about. So they revealed a new PlayStation 5 controller. A bit bonkers to just randomly drop this in the middle of Gamescom Live, but here it is. It's called the DualSense Edge. People have sort of been referring to this as the DualSense Pro or the PS5 Pro controller. Honestly, the functionality on it does seem good. There's no release date, there's no price on it yet, but it seems like the whole idea behind it is that it's going to have more customizable controls. It sounds like you're going to be able to save all sorts of multiple profiles. The sticks themselves seem to be detachable, so you're going to actually be able to have all these programmable switches and buttons, and if for some reason you have something that doesn't work, you can more easily swap it out. I'm probably going to get this. I think the incredibly stark white look of it is kind of neat. I really like the grippiness look of this little gamepad. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I play a lot of games on my PlayStation 5, and I'm curious, what those programmable buttons would do for something like a fighting game, or if I'm playing something like Call of Duty. What they showed next is truly my favorite reveal of the entire thing, which is more Callisto gameplay. This is Callisto Protocol, and they had this more stealthy style section where he got into this like basement area. Oh, what a good freaking moment to pause on. He's trying to fight people. This is by the developers of Dead Space. Oh my gosh, does this game just look so freaking spooky. Obviously, trying to render it into this video, it's going to downgrade the quality somewhat, but they said this is one of the new mechanics they've announced. To see all these tentacles coming out of dudes? Yeah, this right here. Apparently, if you don't stop this, the monsters can actually evolve to become more dangerous. So you sort of are apparently going to have to prioritize certain monsters to kill first. This entire gameplay segment looks so freaking great. Holy heck, this game comes out in December. I think, honestly, this is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. I'm so excited to play it. Oh, I love the fact that you can psychically throw people into grinders. But let me show you the next game that definitely got me incredibly hyped. Lies of P. Now, Lies of P has technically been talked about before in other trailers, other reveals and stuff like that, but we haven't seen this much gameplay of it yet. This is actually based on the original legend of Pinocchio. So here's Pinocchio apparently going on his own epic adventure to possibly save Geppetto, except all these other evil robots are in your way, puppets from hell, so to speak. Wow, does this look like freaking Bloodborne like a muffa. I'm loving it so much. I love the art style. I love the gameplay. Holy heck, does these combos, does this magic, it looks so magical, which to me is so epic. As a fan of Dark Souls, as a person who's completely obsessed with interesting, challenging indies, this looks like a 10 out of 10 project, and they've announced it's coming day one to Game Pass, so heck freaking yes. Unfortunately, after they did those awesome reveals, we got tons and tons and tons of more CGI. They showed Lords of the Fallen, which is apparently going to be a sequel to a game that was called Lords of the Fallen, which was very good, but this new one, it seems like it may be a prequel. Think of it as Dark Souls with like more of a Diablo art style. It looks great, but since it's a CG trailer, man, I sure wish we saw what it was actually going to look like. They gave us a bit more of a tease about the fact that there's a new Tales from the Borderlands game coming out. This is going to be like a narrative adventure. So think of it as Borderlands, but without all the fun looting and shooting, and instead just all of the mildly cringy, mildly hilarious dialogue that Borderlands is so famous for. They did show us a bit more gameplay for Hogwarts Legacy, and this time around they actually focused it more on the idea of dark arts, the evil magic of the Harry Potter universe. And what I actually enjoyed about this new gameplay they showed off today is the fact that it looks like it's going to have some very, very tight fighting, and more than just wizard duels. I mean, I was kind of nervous because the earliest trailers just showed like two students blasting each other at point blank range. It looks like we're going to get a chance to fight trolls and skeletons and stuff like that, which to me grabs my attention a heck of a lot more. Now let's just scroll past all my notes, which are just DLC, 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 and go to the next actual game, which is Sonic Frontiers. Oh yes, yes indeed. There's new Sonic Frontiers gameplay. Let me pull it up. Look at this freaking gameplay. I mean, this looks to me, as a person who sort of loves Sonic games and sometimes hates Sonic games, this looks like exactly my tastes. Man, that's cool as heck. Even now, I'm still kind of just marveling it. They did announce it's coming out November 8th. Wowzers. That's definitely Amy. Man, okay, so the combat still looks a little bit funky. I know so many people are hating on this game. I can't quite hate it. I mean, it's different, it's goofy, it's a little bit funky looking, but I don't know, it's another Sonic game that looks like it's at least trying to go full open world. If it ends up sucking, who cares? And if it ends up being Breath of the Sonic, well then that's pretty freaking cool too. But let me talk about this next game. Now next up, we got a ton more of random trailers. We got Goat Simulator 3. We got Return to Monkey Island, which is obviously going to be a point and click adventure. They announced that there's a pre-order bonus, which is horse armor. There's Moonbreaker. Now this has got to be one of the weirdest projects they showed today to me, which Moonbreaker is apparently going to be a turn-based strategy game sort of based on Warhammer, in that you can digitally paint figurines, they're going to battle each other, it's got some sort of like random RPG mechanics, but what's most bizarre about this is that it's being written by Brandon Sanderson, one of the best fantasy authors that exists today. He wrote frickin' Stormlight Archive. He wrote the Mistborn series, which I love so much. So the fact that he's creating this universe, even if nobody else plays this game, I kind of have to, simply because I am such a Sanderson fan. Now next up, the one that kind of struck me the most is all these weird games that just take place in space. We got Stranded Alien Dawn, which just seems to be people stranded in space on some random planet having to hunt for survival. We don't know what that's about. There was a game called Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is a working simulator where you're literally just doing boring jobs by their own admission, but in space. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Scars Above, which is a space shooter. It was just CG trailer after CG trailer all about space or space aliens and stuff like that. One that was kind of interesting was Atlas Fallen. Atlas Fallen looks like Forspoken, but maybe with a little bit less cringy dialogue. They're doing Homeworld 3, which is a strategy space game. Very tactical. I've never really been a fan of Homeworld, so good for those fans. But I guess a lot of these trailers back to back, I definitely saw a lot of people saying that if you see space, space, space back to back to back, it sort of gets blurry in your brain. I mean, even now, I've saved all these screenshots. I might be mixing up the screenshots for these games because I can't remember which space is which space. They also announced the Expanse Telltale game. I love the Expanse, but again, it's another space dialogue RPG. Kind of neat. Hopefully that game is good. Where Song was announced. I don't know what this is because it's just a picture of somebody standing in front of the moon. I don't even know that's going to be a game. Maybe it's a movie. I seriously have no idea. Now let's just skip all the other garbage, the random NFT crap, all the stupid microtransaction-filled BS, and talk about these last 5 games that honestly, all 5 of them I loved. First up, you're going to be shocked by this. Gotham Knights got a new trailer, and the game finally looks decent. This was called the Villain trailer, and in this game, it's sort of based right after the death of Bruce Wayne. Batman is dead, and now everybody else is having to step up. That means Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing are all having to team up against the supervillains vying for power. People like Clayface, Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze, they're all going to be coming together to try and take over Gotham City in the absence of Batman. And honestly, this trailer finally makes the game look great. I know it's going to have co-op. I know the game looks like it's going to be very high budget, even if it is a little bit weird with some of the mistakes that WB has been making. But as somebody that's never really been the biggest Batman fan, I know this sounds crazy, but I love Superman comics a lot. This finally seems like it's nailing that vibe of desperate hope that sort of instills the essence of Gotham City. I'm actually excited for Gotham Knights, and I'm surprised even I am saying that. Next up, they showed this game called Where Winds Meet. It looks like it's based on Chinese legends. It's got stuff like running on water, fighting gods, jumping off air. It seems like it's going to be an open world RPG to some degree. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima, simply because it's going to have like big sweeping fields of flowers and stuff like that. I don't know. It looks very, very, very mystical, and I'm super down for whatever the heck it's trying to do. Next up, we finally got more gameplay for Warhammer Darktide, which of course is made by the Vermintide developers. It's co-op, looty shooty insanity. Yes. This is coming out in November. I think it's only coming to Xbox and PC, but to me, that's super fine. Next, we got Outlast Trials. Yes, that's right. Instead of getting Outlast 3, they finally showed this game again after an entire year of silence. I believe this game is going to be horror co-op, where multiple people are stuck in some sort of like demonic game show. So it's going to take a lot of the body horror and mutilation scares from the previous games of Outlast and sort of ramp that up, which to me sounds epic. Now, before we talk about the final trailer I did love, which was the Dying Light 2 gameplay, I do want to quickly mention the fact that the Rick and Morty creator, Justin Roiland, is making a new game called High on Life. Now, the High on Life teasers have been very hit and miss. Some of them have been decent, some of them not. So High on Life is coming to Game Pass day one. It looks like it's going to be a first-person shooter, but the whole gimmick of it is that your guns are basically Rick and Morty. They're going to be constantly talking, and I do mean constantly talking. So they showed a boss fight in this newest trailer, and you just need to see a screenshot. It's a tiny little arena. You've got a whip that talks, and you've got a gun that talks. But the problem with this trailer to me was that the guns literally never shut up. It's just Morty's voice just, oh man, we're having a boss fight, Rick. Oh no, well, geez, oh geez. Look, I have no problems with Justin Roiland. I actually love Rick and Morty, but you need a good joke to breathe. You need that pause before the next joke. This was making jokes about, they're like making jokes to the boss about hitting her weak point. They're literally discussing her health bar in the middle of the boss fight. They're making fun of the minions, and they're like, I kind of don't like ultra self-aware humor. I think it does work in some movies. I think it works really well in comic books, but something about video games talking about being a video game, a lot of times to me, that just isn't funny. And that's what this game is clearly trying to be, is just joke. Even if some of the jokes don't land, here's another 50 jokes on top. A lot of people seem to not like this trailer simply because they don't shut up. Now, the closeout game, the big giant re-reveal, was Dying Light 2. Now, Dying Light 2 has not been, Dying Light 2, or what's this, Dead Island 2? Dead Island 2. I wrote it as Dying Light in my notes. I'm so dumb. We already played Dying Light. Dead Island 2 is finally back. This is the first time we've seen it in 8 years. I believe that the original studio got closed down. Somebody else had to buy it out. Like, the whole team has been mixed up. Even though this game has been stuck in development hell, I gotta be real with you. I'm just glad it's back. I'm just glad it's actually getting finished, because it does seem like, even though they started with the CG trailer, after that, they did show some gory good times. They showed some crazy gameplay that really revealed the fact that this is still going to be the same co-op insanity of the other Dying Light game. And I'm super down for that. I mean, honestly, the biggest problem with the original Dying Light was the fact that they got crunched, they had bad deadlines, they didn't have a chance to make that game as big as they probably imagined. And now with Dying Light 2, hopefully they can finally get that vision correct. But what did you think about the entirety of Opening Night Live? Was it fun for you? Was it bad for you? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. Oh man, all right. I haven't eaten. I need to eat. It's time. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.